When distractions get loud, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Life has a way of surrounding us with noise, opinions, criticism, social media comparisons, expectations that never end, and thoughts that never seem to rest. It's like standing in a room full of shouting voices, each one demanding your attention, each one trying to tell you who you are and what you should be doing. And in all that chaos, God's whisper can feel so faint that we almost forget it's there. But the truth is, God doesn't compete with noise. He doesn't raise his voice to get your attention. He speaks softly, intentionally, and with purpose. The whisper isn't weakness, it's divine precision. He wants you to lean in, to draw closer, to choose his voice over the noise. There are seasons when everything around you feels urgent, when you're constantly pulled in 10 different directions, when everyone wants a piece of your energy. You start to mistake movement for progress, noise for purpose, and busyness for calling. You wake up tired, not just in your body, but in your spirit, because the noise of life has drained your peace. That's when you realize distraction is not just something that steals your time. It's something that steals your clarity. It clouds your connection to the one who actually knows the plan. The enemy doesn't always attack with disaster. Sometimes he attacks with distraction. If he can keep you chasing after every loud thing, he can keep you from hearing the one quiet truth that can change everything. There's a reason why God often meets people in quiet places, in deserts, in mountains, in moments of stillness. Because in silence, there's revelation. When the noise fades, you start to see how many of your thoughts weren't really yours. You start to recognize which battles were never meant for you to fight, which opinions didn't deserve a response, and which burdens you were never meant to carry. But as long as you stay surrounded by constant chatter, you can't hear the clarity of God's direction. It's not that he stopped speaking. It's that your attention got divided. Sometimes God will intentionally separate you from the noise. He'll pull you away from certain people, certain conversations, certain opportunities that looked good, but weren't aligned with your growth. And it might feel lonely, but it's really protection. He's saying, I need you to hear me without interference. Because the moment you focus on him, your perspective shifts. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start realizing, maybe this is happening for me. Maybe the rejection was redirection. Maybe the delay was divine timing. Maybe the silence wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It takes strength to tune out the chaos and lean into God's whisper. Because the whisper doesn't always all the answers. It just gives you enough for today. It tells you to keep going when you feel like quitting. It tells you to stay still when everything in you wants to move. It tells you to trust that unseen hand that's guiding you even when you can't trace the path. That's the beauty of focus. It's not about looking harder. It's about seeing deeper. When you focus on God, you stop magnifying your problems and start magnifying his presence. The size of your storm doesn't shrink, but your peace expands enough to handle it. There's power in learning how to quiet the world around you. Power in saying no to every voice that doesn't align with God's truth about you. Power in protecting your peace like it's holy ground, because it is. The world teaches us to react, to respond, to defend, but God teaches us to pause. The pause isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's in that pause where you realign your spirit, where you listen again, where you remember that you're not in control, and that's okay. The stillness becomes sacred. The quiet becomes your teacher. And you begin to understand that what you hear in private will always guide how you walk in public. Focusing on God is not a one-time act. It's a daily decision. Every morning when you wake up, distractions are waiting at your door. Fear, anxiety, insecurity, comparison. But so is grace. So is the gentle whisper that says, you're not alone. Every time you choose to focus on him instead of the noise, you build spiritual discipline. You strengthen the muscle that helps you discern what's real from what's temporary. You begin to see that not every storm deserves your attention, and not every voice deserves your energy. There's something sacred about learning to hear God's whisper in a noisy world. It's not loud. It doesn't demand. It just waits for you to be still enough to notice. And once you do, That whisper becomes louder than any chaos could ever be. Because once you've heard truth from the source, every lie starts to lose its power. Every distraction starts to fade. Every noise that once demanded your focus becomes background static. And you finally start walking in peace, not because life got quiet, but because your spirit did. Humility is one of those words that the world often misunderstands. People think being humble means shrinking, staying silent, or letting others walk over you. But true humility isn't weakness. It's strength under control. It's standing tall without needing to be the tallest in the room. It's knowing exactly who you are without announcing it, without proving it, without fighting for validation from people who never gave you your worth in the first place. When you're grounded in who you are, you don't need applause to confirm your identity. You carry quiet confidence because you know who sent you and why you're here. There comes a point when you realize that pride is heavy, carrying the need to be right, to be seen, to be praised. It weighs on you in ways you can't even measure. It makes you defensive, restless, and constantly striving for approval. But humility lightens that load. When you release the need to prove yourself, you make room for peace. You make room for God to step in and handle what your pride was trying to control. Humility says, I don't need the spotlight, I just need alignment. It's not about dimming your light. It's about making sure your light reflects the right source. There are moments when God will intentionally bring you to your knees, not to humiliate you, but to humble you. Because humility is the posture that allows Him to elevate you. Sometimes the fall you experience isn't a punishment. It's a reminder. It's God saying, you started thinking you were the one doing this. You started believing your own strength was enough. And when that happens, He'll let certain things fail, not to break you, but to remind you that you were never meant to carry the whole thing alone. In humility, you rediscover dependence, not on people, not on titles, but on God. Being humble doesn't mean you forget your worth. It means you understand your worth comes from something eternal, not something temporary. The world teaches us that confidence looks like pride, but real confidence is quiet. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need a stage or an audience. It just walks in peace. You can walk into a room and say nothing, yet your spirit speaks volumes because humility carries presence. People feel it before you speak. It's not the kind of power that dominates. It's the kind that settles hearts. It's peace that fills spaces instead of noise that demands attention. Humility is the soil where character grows. When you stay humble, you stay teachable. You recognize that you don't know everything, and you're okay with that. You're open to correction, open to growth, open to letting go of the version of yourself that no longer fits the new season God is calling you into. Pride locks you in place. It says, I've got it all figured out. But humility keeps you evolving. It says, God, I'm still learning, still listening, still open. And that's where transformation happens. The moment you stop thinking you've arrived is the moment you become ready for the next level. There will be times when staying humble will cost you. It'll mean letting someone else take the credit. It'll mean walking away from arguments that could prove you right. It'll mean staying silent when your ego is begging to speak. But what you lose in those moments, you gain in grace, because grace flows where pride doesn't live. Pride pushes people away. Humility draws them closer. Pride isolates. Humility connects. When you stay humble, you become approachable, real, grounded. And people can feel that. They can sense when your spirit isn't performing, but simply being. That's what draws others to you. Not your perfection, but your authenticity. Sometimes humility means admitting that you're struggling. It means saying, I don't have all the answers, but I trust the one who does. That kind of honesty breaks walls. It reminds people that strength isn't pretending, it's persevering. There's something powerful about someone who can be confident and vulnerable at the same time. That balance comes only from humility, because when your confidence comes from God, vulnerability doesn't scare you, it frees you. You're not afraid to show your cracks because you know that's where his light shines through. You'll notice that God promotes people who stay low. He elevates those who serve quietly, who love sincerely, who lead without needing to be seen. When you humble yourself, you give him room to lift you up in ways your ambition never could. The higher you go, the more humility you need, because every elevation comes with new eyes watching, new pressures forming, and new temptations rising. Pride will tell you to protect your image, but humility will remind you to protect your heart. The most powerful people are not the loudest. They're the ones who know when to bow, when to listen, when to give glory where it belongs. They don't chase status because they understand that favor doesn't come from man. It comes from obedience. When you stay humble, you become unshakable. Criticism doesn't crush you, and praise doesn't puff you up. You learn to take both with grace because neither defines you. You become a reflection of strength wrapped in gentleness, a reminder that humility isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less, so that love purpose. And faith can shine through you more clearly than ever before. There are moments in life when silence becomes the loudest answer you can give, when words start to lose their meaning, when explanations no longer serve a purpose, and when your peace becomes more valuable than being understood. Silence doesn't always mean weakness. It's not surrender in defeat. It's choosing not to waste divine energy on battles that don't deserve your breath. There's a kind of power in silence that many people never learn because they mistake noise for strength. But silence has its own language. It speaks in patience, it speaks in peace, and it speaks in trust. It says, I don't have to fight this because I know who fights for me. We live in a world that demands a response for everything. Someone disrespects you, you're supposed to clap back. Someone doubts you, you're supposed to prove them wrong. Someone misunderstands your intentions, you're supposed to explain yourself until they finally see your heart. But there comes a time when you realize that the louder you get trying to defend yourself, the more distracted you become from your purpose. Silence becomes sacred when you understand that not every attack deserves your reaction. Not every lie needs your correction. And not every moment requires your voice. Sometimes your quiet becomes the testimony that you've outgrown the noise. There's a certain maturity that comes with learning how to be still in moments when everything inside you wants to speak. It's not easy to hold your tongue when you know the truth, when you could expose the lie, when you could shut down the rumor with one sentence. But silence teaches discipline. It teaches restraint. It reminds you that peace is not found in proving a point, but in protecting your energy. Because the truth is, people who are determined to misunderstand, you will do so no matter what you say. And people who are meant to see your heart won't need an explanation. They'll recognize your integrity in your actions, in your calmness, in your silence. Silence is not the absence of strength, it's the mastery of it. It's choosing not to waste power where it won't bear fruit. It's choosing to let your growth make the noise instead of your mouth. There are seasons when God will ask you to be silent while he handles what you can't. He'll tell you, don't respond, don't defend, don't explain, just trust me, die. And in that quiet, he works. He exposes what needs to be exposed, heals what needs to be healed, and reveals what needs to be revealed. Your silence becomes your agreement with his process. It's a declaration of faith saying, I don't need to fix this because God already saw it. The hardest kind of silence is when you're waiting for answers, waiting for change, waiting for something to shift. You pray, you believe, but heaven feels quiet. That kind of silence can test your faith like nothing else. It feels like God has gone silent, but really, he's speaking a different way. Sometimes his silence isn't absence, it's preparation. He's building your patience, deepening your trust, stretching your capacity to wait well. Because when you learn to stay still and silent in uncertainty, you develop a strength that shouting can't give you. You learn how to stand in storms without losing your center. There's also a silence that comes after pain, the kind where your heart is too broken for words. You've cried every tear, prayed every prayer, and you don't even know what else to say. That's the silence where healing begins. Because when words fail, God starts to speak in whispers only your spirit can hear. He comforts in the stillness. He rebuilds in the quiet. You realize you don't need to explain your pain for it to be valid. You don't need to broadcast your process for it to be real. Healing doesn't always make noise. Sometimes it happens in the unseen silence where God does his deepest work. Choosing silence in a noisy world is an act of courage. It's saying, I don't need the last word. I don't need to win the argument. I just need my peace. There's something freeing about walking away from chaos with your dignity intact. You stop needing to control how others see you, and you start focusing on how God sees you. Silence becomes your shield. It guards your peace, protects your heart, and keeps your spirit pure. Because when you stop reacting to everything, you start responding to what truly matters. You conserve your strength for what's sacred instead of what's shallow. Sometimes silence is the space between who you were and who you're becoming. It's the pause where transformation brews quietly, where God rearranges things internally before he reveals them externally. People may think you've gone missing, but really you're maturing. You're learning the rhythm of divine restraint, the ability to hold your peace while everything around you tries to pull you into battle. That kind of silence doesn't come from fear. It comes from wisdom. It's the understanding that you don't need to fight every war, because not every war was assigned to you. So, when you choose to be silent, it's not that you don't care. It's that you care too much about your peace to hand it over to chaos. You've learned that silence can be a form of worship, a way of saying, God, you take this. You've learned that stillness can be strategy, that quiet can be victory, that calm can be confidence. And in that sacred silence, you find what the world can't give, peace that passes understanding, strength that doesn't shout, and wisdom that speaks volumes without ever saying a word. Focusing on God is not about straining harder to see him. It's about surrendering enough to let him show you what he's already doing. Most of the time, we think focus means control. We think if we plan enough, pray enough, push enough, we can make things move in the direction we want. But true focus on God begins the moment you stop trying to be in charge of everything. It begins when you finally unclench your hands and admit, I can't fix this, but I know who can. That's where the clarity comes from, not from overthinking, not from forcing, but from trusting that what's meant for you won't miss you when your eyes are fixed on him. It's hard to focus on God when life keeps demanding your attention. Bills need to be paid. People need your energy. Your emotions pull you in one direction while your fears pull you in another. The noise of survival can drown out your faith if you're not careful. You start chasing solutions instead of surrendering them. You start carrying burdens that were never yours to hold. That's when focus starts slipping away. When you're so busy trying to figure out, though, how that you forget to rest in the ooh. Because focus isn't about looking harder at the problem. It's about looking deeper at the provider. The moment you stop magnifying your struggle and start magnifying his strength, everything begins to shift. God never asked you to have all the answers. He just asked you to trust him enough to take the next step. That's what focus looks like. It's not seeing the whole path. It's being faithful with the piece that's in front of you. It's saying, even if I can't see what's next, I'll keep walking in what I know. Every time you surrender a little more control, you make more space for his guidance. Because when your hands are full of worry, they can't receive direction. But when they're open in surrender, God can lead you with ease. Focus in its purest form is the act of spiritual alignment, your mind, your heart, and your spirit all turning toward him instead of toward the chaos. There's a kind of peace that only comes when you stop trying to force outcomes. It's not laziness, it's trust. It's knowing that the same God who painted sunsets and calmed seas can handle the details of your life. But surrender doesn't come naturally. We're taught to hustle, to push harder, to make things happen. The world praises control, but heaven honors surrender. When you finally stop fighting for control, you start living from faith. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what are you trying to show me in this? That question changes everything. It turns chaos into clarity, pain into purpose, and waiting into worship. Sometimes focus means letting go of what you thought your life would look like. It means releasing the version of the story you planned and accepting the one God is writing. That's not easy. It requires dying to your own timeline, your own expectations, your own pride. But when you release control, you open the door for peace to enter. You realize that surrender isn't giving up. It's giving over. It's handing your plans to the one who can see the whole picture. It's saying, even when I don't understand, I still trust you. And that trust becomes your anchor in storms, your compass in confusion, your calm in uncertainty. Focusing on God also means quieting your mind long enough to listen. We often fill our prayers with so many words that we forget to pause for his response. But he speaks in stillness, in the spaces between your thoughts, the calm that comes after surrender. When you stop talking long enough to listen, you start hearing him in the small details, in the unexpected kindness of a stranger, in the peace that doesn't make sense, in the way your heart settles even when nothing around you has changed. Focus allows you to notice his fingerprints in ordinary moments. It helps you see that even in silence, he's still working. There's something powerful about releasing control and simply saying, God, I trust you even when I can't trace you. That kind of faith doesn't come from comfort. It comes from surrender. It's built in the moments when you have no choice but to rely on him. When you're standing in the middle of what looks impossible, that's when focus matters most, because fear will try to steal your attention, doubt will try to cloud your vision, and impatience will whisper that God has forgotten you. But faith keeps your eyes steady. It reminds you that your timing isn't his timing, and your way isn't his way, but his way is always better. Focus isn't just about attention. It's about alignment. It's about making sure your heart is fixed on what's eternal instead of what's temporary. It's remembering that your peace doesn't depend on how things look, but on who's in control. When you live with that kind of focus, you stop chasing every distraction that comes your way. You start prioritizing presence over performance, faith over fear, surrender over struggle. You stop running yourself empty trying to make things happen, because you finally realize that rest is also a form of worship. When your focus is on God, you stop needing to control the outcome and start trusting the process. You stop asking for everything to make sense and start thanking him that he's holding everything together, even when you can't see how. There are seasons when everything feels still, when nothing seems to be moving, when it feels like the doors that once opened easily are now sealed shut. You start to wonder if God forgot your name, if he put your dreams on pause, if maybe the silence means the story is over. But what you don't see is that the hidden season is never wasted. It's the place where God does his deepest work, where he prepares you in ways that can't be seen by others. Elevation doesn't begin in the spotlight. It begins in obscurity. The hidden seasons are not punishment, they're preparation. God hides you not to withhold your purpose, but to protect it while he strengthens what needs to be stable before he reveals you to the world. We live in a world that glorifies visibility. Everybody wants to be seen, validated, known, and celebrated. We measure our worth by how many people notice us, how fast things grow, how loudly our efforts echo. But God's process doesn't work like that. He isn't concerned with how quickly you're seen. He's concerned with how deeply you're rooted. If you rise too fast without foundation, the weight of visibility will crush you. But when he takes you through hidden seasons, when he lets the phone stay quiet, the opportunities slow, and the attention fade, he's actually giving you the gift of depth. He's teaching you to find your worth in him, not in applause. In those hidden seasons, you might feel forgotten. You might watch others step into what looks like success while you're standing still. But that's the refining ground of growth. That's where God is pruning, shaping, and stretching you to fit the future he's preparing. You can't carry the next level with the mindset of the last one. You can't walk into new spaces still wounded by old versions of yourself. That's why he hides you, to heal you. He's working on your patience, your humility, your discernment. He's stripping away your need to perform and teaching you to find peace in stillness. Sometimes the hidden season feels like heartbreak. You pray and nothing moves. You give and don't see results. You try to do everything right, yet the doors stay closed. It feels unfair, but it's actually divine protection. God will let things not work out when they're not meant for you, even if they look perfect from your perspective, because he knows that exposure before preparation is dangerous. He knows that elevation without refinement can destroy the very thing he intended to bless you with. So he hides you until you can handle what he's about to release. While you're hidden, it's tempting to question your value. You start to ask, why not me? You see others shining and think maybe you're doing something wrong. But what if the hiding is the proof that you're chosen? What if he's keeping you covered because your assignment is too precious to be handled carelessly? The butterfly spends most of its transformation in a cocoon, invisible to the world. No one sees the struggle, the breaking, the becoming. But when the time is right, what was hidden has no choice but to be revealed. That's what God does. He builds you in private so that when he reveals you in public, you don't crumble under the weight of what you prayed for. The hidden seasons are also where intimacy with God grows. When the crowd disappears, when the noise fades, you learn to hear his voice differently. You stop depending on external validation and start leaning on his presence. You learn to pray not for platforms, but for peace. You stop begging for visibility and start craving vision. That shift changes everything. Because when God becomes your focus, you no longer need an audience to feel seen. You understand that being unseen by people doesn't mean being unseen by God. In fact, it often means you're being seen by him more clearly than ever before. It's in the unseen moments that your character is tested. Who you are when no one's watching determines who you'll be when everyone is. The hidden season exposes your motives, your patience, your heart. It shows whether you're doing it for attention or obedience. And when God sees you choose faithfulness over frustration, when you serve quietly without recognition, when you remain consistent even without applause, that's when he knows you're ready. Because promotion in his kingdom is never about popularity. It's about stewardship. Can you stay faithful when no one is clapping? Can you stay humble when no one is watching? That's where true elevation begins. You start to realize that hiddenness is holy. It's not something to rush through. It's something to honor. It's the place where God molds your character to match your calling. Every delay has purpose. Every quiet stretch of time is shaping you for something greater. The waiting is not wasted. It's working for you. The stillness is not silence. It's strategy. When God finally reveals what he's been building in secret, it will be stronger, purer, and more powerful because it was born in surrender, not in striving. The hidden seasons teach you to trust timing, not visibility. They teach you that sometimes God will keep you unseen until the environment is ready to receive you. Because it's not just about you being ready, it's about the space you're walking into being prepared too. That's how intentional he is. That's how deeply he works. So while it feels like nothing's happening, remember that everything is. The soil is shifting. The roots are growing. The foundation is forming. The quiet doesn't mean you've been forgotten. It means you're being formed for something far greater than you can see right now. Grace flows in places where pride can't survive. It finds its way into hearts that are soft, surrendered, and teachable. When you walk in humility, you make space for grace to do what your strength could never accomplish. There's something sacred about living in that place of quiet surrender, where you no longer feel the need to prove, defend, or impress. You simply show up with an open heart and let God move how he wants to move. Grace can only rest where there's room, and pride takes up too much space. Pride fills your heart with noise, your opinions, your plans, your timing. But humility empties it so God can fill it again with peace, wisdom, and divine direction. It takes courage to stay humble in a world that glorifies ego. The world tells you that you have to fight for your position, that you need to build your brand, that you have to make people see your worth. But grace doesn't need promotion. It reveals itself. When God's hand is on your life, you don't have to beg to be noticed. You don't have to chase validation. The right people will recognize the light in you because God will make sure they do. Humility is not about being invisible. It's about letting God be visible through you. When you stop trying to control how people see you and focus instead on how God is shaping you, everything begins to align differently. There's a peace that comes with knowing you don't have to perform for grace. You don't have to earn it, compete for it, or manipulate your way into it. Grace is a gift, but pride blocks the flow. When your heart is lifted too high, you can't receive what only comes from a posture of surrender. That's why God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. It's not punishment, it's positioning. Pride creates resistance. Humility creates release. When you stay low, you stay open. You stop trying to be your own source and start trusting the one who never runs dry. Sometimes humility will mean walking away from opportunities that stroke your ego but starve your soul. It means saying no to things that look good but aren't God. It means not taking credit when you could, not responding when you're provoked, not needing to be the loudest voice in the room to feel secure. That kind of restraint doesn't come naturally. It's learned through experience, through heartbreak, through moments. When you've tasted what pride costs you, pride will promise power, but deliver emptiness. It will make you chase approval only to find yourself exhausted and disconnected. But humility brings you back home to peace. It reminds you that favor isn't forced, it's given. When you stay humble, God can trust you with more. He can trust you to handle blessings without arrogance, to carry influence without corruption, to lead without losing compassion. He knows you won't take the glory that belongs to Him. Humility keeps your heart clean enough to carry purpose. It's what makes you dependable in His kingdom, because while pride builds platforms, humility builds altars, and God moves on altars. He moves through those who understand that every victory belongs to Him. Every open door, every breakthrough, every answered prayer, it all flows from grace. Humility also changes how you treat people. When you understand that everything you have is a gift, you stop comparing, competing, or looking down on anyone. You start seeing others through eyes of compassion instead of competition. You realize that the same grace that found you is available to everyone. And that realization softens you. It makes you gentler with people, slower to judge, quicker to forgive. Pride separates. Humility connects. Pride says, I earned this. Humility says, I'm grateful for this. That shift transforms your relationships and your spirit. It builds bridges where pride built walls. Staying humble doesn't mean you think less of yourself. It means you think of yourself less. It means you're not the center of your story anymore. God is. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that you're chosen, not because of what you did, but because of who He is. That truth frees you from the constant pressure to perform. You no longer need to compete for worthiness because you understand that grace already called you worthy. You don't have to force your way into rooms, because you trust that the right doors will open at the right time. That's the power of humility. It anchors you when life tries to shake you. There will be moments when pride will try to rise again, when you'll want to take credit, when you'll want to prove your worth, when you'll want to remind people of everything you've done. But humility whispers, you don't need to. It teaches you to let God be your defender, your promoter, your provider. You learn that your value doesn't decrease just because others don't recognize it. You understand that real power isn't in showing off. It's in staying grounded. It's in walking through open doors with gratitude instead of entitlement. Grace has a way of finding the humble. It finds you when you're tired of fighting for attention. It finds you when you've been broken enough to stop pretending. It finds you when your heart finally lets go of the need to control. And when it does, it lifts you, not because you climbed your way up, but because you knelt your way down. God will always raise what humility builds. He will always breathe on what pride would have destroyed. So when you stay humble, you stay in the flow of grace, steady, covered, and favored in ways no human hand could ever manufacture.